Happy high noon, everybody, and welcome to our Tuesday live stream, the Tuesday before the Self-Reliance Festival. I've been pretty excited about this interview for the last few weeks. We've got John Willis from Special Operations Equipment. We've got Risky Chrisky. Say hi.
Hello, hello. How are y'all doing?
What are you drinking there?
A little, what is it, a Perrier? It's
Perrier.
It's weak, Yeah, yeah, there you go. I like the, what are they called? Topo Chicos. Learned about those recently, but my store's out of them, so my wife got me this.
So you had to compromise for Perrier. I'm Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee. And the way this goes, guys, if you're on the live stream and you want to get a question in, put the first word or two in all caps, and then I will ask questions. Let's start with this. Should I call you Risky or Chrisky?
Whatever you like. You can call me Chris. You can call me, Dweeb. It doesn't matter. Whatever.
Anyway, tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up on John Willis's channel.
Okay. Well, I haven't been YouTubing that long. I've been a long-time subscriber to SOE Gear, and I've purchased their products in the past. And I was in the Army, just a short little enlistment, nothing special. Got out, did a few other jobs, was a firefighter, worked in real estate, and that sort of came crumbling to the ground during COVID. And I found myself making YouTube videos, wildly enough. So surprising we're here. I never would expect to be being interviewed and talking to John here on the internet, but it's a blessing. And, talk a little bit about the 2A stuff, some prepper stuff, but it's more tactically oriented, as well as current events.
Awesome. Apparently you're the man.
Cured erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
I mean, all kinds of shit they're saying. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Okay, there I see it. I'm on my phone, so I got a small
screen.
So
this one, we were kind of giggling about that.
So I've been hearing about Risky Chrisky for quite a while. Guys were talking about it on the live feeds. And just one day it popped up. And I'd been watching you. I didn't realize it was you that I was listening to through the rollovers, through the shorts. And that it was always with the mask. And some of my guys here would mention you and talk about it, send me videos and stuff. And then when you took the mask off, I don't know if your audience grew, but I feel like your audience probably grew, and it got a little, especially when you started doing the shorts and kind of telling the news. It was always worth listening to, but you had a really good kind of funny view to it also.
Well, we're sarcastic. We like jokes. We play around.
Yeah.
And we're on the Telegram pumping out, and I've been on Twitter, I don't know how many, 6 or 7 usernames since I get banned all the time, but we've been pumping out, resharing stories left and right since my last professional gig. And I'm like, why am I wasting time not sharing this with people on YouTube? I have this larger audience on YouTube, and the way the algorithm works, you kind of have to pump out shorts. What better of a thing to do than this? And, if it would be different if I was a 20-year Navy SEAL and I had all of this experience to draw from, but I don't. I have other things and aspects that I approach the videos from. So the current events are never going to get old.
Yeah.
How do you find which current events you want to highlight?
Mainly from Twitter or X, and I have a few sources, and I don't want to say I foolproof trust them, but like Breaking 911 is one. What's the other one? There's something Report, Insider Report. They're pretty big. They post up-to-date stuff. So if I can cross-reference that or get an idea of, hey, what does this really implicate? Since we're in the know, quote unquote, what other things does this mean? Does it mean there was some, can I cuss on here? Am I able to, what am I? Yeah. Is there fuckery going on over here? Is this connected somehow? Or is this an isolated incident? And if we can connect the dots or maybe point, hey, this is odd. Yeah. Just look at that. Just is that a coincidence or not? You determine it. Coming at it from that point of view, I think has definitely helped, but mainly Twitter. Twitter's the bomb.
Have you gotten to the point where people share with you like super secret insights? Go check this out. Have you gotten a lot of those?
I get a lot of those, and it's never, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's almost nothing ever worth talking about. Like, it's the same super conspiracy stuff, like, oh, they executed this guy, or like Navy SEALs are here doing this. And I'm like, what? I can't talk about that for real on the internet. Come on, man.
Yeah, and they chose to tell Bob.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you know that? There's no reason. Or somebody's like, my buddy in the National Guard saw a bunch of things, and it's like, or vehicles traveling, and it's like, yeah, that could be something, or it could be another JRTC, rotation, and a lot of guys are going to the box, so they put everything on rail cars and ship it, because that happens literally every month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that, like, as your following has grown, you're like, man, I got to be really careful about what I communicate, because if I say the wrong thing, they're going to run with it?
Yes and no. Like, the funny thing is, Risky Chrisky, the name. It's my brother used to call me Risky. He thought it was a joke, and it was embarrassing. It was demeaning, and I kind of run with that. Risky. I'll talk about stuff. I put out a disclaimer. I'm never trying to get anyone to do anything or get violent or be stupid based on my videos. But if we put out an error or something wrong, I'll draw attention to it. I'll make a correction. I'll put a pinned comment, or I'll address it in the next video. I'm human. I'm not perfect, but I've definitely, the main thing I would say that we've screwed up in the past is maybe timelines of events. And so now I don't really worry about timelines. We haven't necessarily been wrong. It's just we always think it's going to happen sooner than it pans out. So I try to stray away from timelines or giving people like a warning of, hey, I heard this. Like, here's a great one. I heard, what was it? Netanyahu was given a 3-day. He was giving people a warning, say, hey, be ready for 3 days. And then also they cut off the water allegedly and all this stuff. How long can you last without water? I don't know, like 3 days or something. So odds are there's probably something. How big it is, what it is, I don't know. It's probably huge aggression that's going to go down. But does that affect Billy down the street? I'm not really going to go run with it saying, hey, get all your stuff in order, but maybe just have the feelers up a little bit more.
Hopefully they have their stuff in order. I mean, we've done, Y2K, Mayan calendar, right? We've done enough of it. You would think, what, you think I sold them all? Where'd they go? I mean,
this is it. You threw everything away.
You dumped all your water out? What happened?
Yeah, I was talking to a friend this week about the rapture. And a lot of people see signs right now that they feel like the rapture is coming. And I said, okay, but if you plan, like if you count on that happening in the next 30 days, what are you going to do on the other side of that?
I see a ton of people saying that it is happening. They're driving past just like what looks like miles of cars on the interstate that have just been kind of pushed over to the side, brand new trucks and shit that are just empty. Like, where did all these people go? Now, I mean, maybe it's some bullshit and they're just driving by and it's an entryway to a lake or something. You never know what you're seeing anymore. It's so easy to be like, oh, wow. And then just to share that shit out.
And it's easy to convince yourself that what you're seeing is real or that it implicates other things, because in essence, by taking a step back and trying to avoid being pre-programmed by these mainstream news outlets and social media, you almost inadvertently pre-program yourself to believe things and to look into it more. Not that that's necessarily bad to look into it and use critical thinking, but we're almost more susceptible to this in and of itself.
Yeah, and there's so much disinformation, right? It's almost as though the truth is out there and even right in front of us, but we're just constantly bombarded from all these different directions. And, the common denominator is if we think that things are going to get bad in 6 months or a year or 3 years, we've had 3 years where things have consecutively gotten worse. Have you started a business? Have you, fortified your stocks in your stores? Have you left the major cities? And so many, like it's almost like it's just that perpetual. I believe that we are targeted with fear and negativity because it keeps you in that fight or flight. And then you don't rest, right? When you're not rested, you can't operate and you need to then rely on the systems. I think it's just a big way of just keeping people on that slave system. Whereas if you turned this thing off, if this is off and I don't have it on for a week, somebody's going to tell me that the asteroid's on the way. Like, you're going to know that the paratroopers are out there. You're just also going to be able to operate in a manner where you just get so much more, real stuff done.
Speaking of which, yeah, like, could you tell I don't get a lot of rest here? The permanent raccoon eyes. And, that brought up, it's too soon for you to be talking about the paratroopers coming in when Gaza and their fighters have more airborne jumps than anyone currently at Fort Bragg, like combat jumps.
Right.
I'm still dealing with that.
Right.
But Yeah, dude, it's so easy to get lost in the sauce because, oh man, like Twitter, for example, I want to pump out that story to people, and it's just people post so much, and it's so up to date, current. How could you not get sucked into it, right? And it's it's almost like they're professionals putting on this on and having this war against your mind.
Very reminiscent of 9/11. One of my guys was saying that at lunch, kind of that same vibe. What you're going to see them send a bunch more money to Ukraine under the guise of Israel. They're going to clump it all together. Meanwhile, let's just degrade the United States. Let's not focus on the United States. Combat age males. I mean, I don't think anybody can dispute, no matter what belief or walk of life you're in, that we are letting combat age males into the United States. There's just so much of that. And it's just, and we keep hearing about how they welded the gates open. They flew 200,000 of them into 23 cities on jumbo jets, like flew them direct from a country, landed in the United States, be free. We got dudes that come down for Self-Reliance Festival from Canada, and our Border Patrol gives them such hassle. You got about a 50-50 chance they're going to turn you back into Canada. But come through the southern border and they'll give you a fucking phone and 7 years of, freedom.
Last time I checked, and I don't know if this is a rumor, but I heard compelling stories of them literally giving like $400,000 to these people, putting in their bank account.
They were interviewing all these dudes and they said, who's paying you? And they said the UN's paying them. And they had like these debit cards. And they said, now that they're here in the United States, the money has ceased, right? So we've put these dudes in major cities without any females, without any ability to work. They were feeding them. They were trickling them the money, cut the money off. What the fuck do you think's going to happen?
France.
That's exactly. We hear
it's
about
like a playbook we've seen before.
Yeah, we hear about Notre Dame. They burnt down a cathedral every single week. They burnt down everything in France.
The writing's on the wall. It's coming here. The globalists are in charge. They're bringing that to this part of the globe. That's what they're doing.
When you have the UN and CDC and you have all these, the World Economic Forum say the biggest threat to health and freedom in the world is the United States Second Amendment, right? So you've got all these clashes now between pro-Israel, pro-Palestine inside the United States. Wait, it's the playbook, right? You're going to have somebody take some shots at a mosque, or you're going to have somebody that they say is Jewish take some shots at the synagogue, vice versa. And then you're going to see another Patriot Act. This is exactly when they push through Patriot Act 3. Patriot Act 2, Patriot Act 1. He wrote about it in Enemies Foreign and Domestic. It's literally like a fucking playbook.
Well,
and if it doesn't happen naturally,
go to waste, and you were going there too. And if you don't have a crisis, make one.
Yeah,
that's right. You're going to make one, just like you might even have to make a video cartoon and say, hey, that's offending these people. They have to take over. It's Benghazi again. It's going to be a false flag if it's not the ultimate false flag of them flooding you with migrants and pissing them off.
Yep.
All right. And now for something completely different. John, where did you get the shirt you're wearing?
We made it. We make a different shirt every week. We do 125 pieces. It's very rare that we re-release them. We did this one a couple weeks ago, re-release it. SOE Tactical Gear. It's probably still on the rotation on the front page. My website, we put something up. We almost never take it down. So there's, it's a mess. It's very disorganized. But luckily, we have enough people that follow our text and email that it gets bought up right away. So it works.
All right. So with all of this fear mongering going on, how do you keep a level head?
I don't find, oh man, if this guy's watching, I hope, if Chris is watching, I doubt it. He's a normie, but this guy once taught me there's really, and this was his take, there's no such thing as perfect balance. You're back and forth, compensating, overcompensating. And I let out with schizo rants. I let the pressure build until I have to physically remove myself from society, put on a mask, and scream in the woods with a gun.
It works,
yeah.
man.
Has that fixed all your problems?
Yeah, until the random person trespassing sees it, and then that causes a little ruckus. But we're good so far.
Fear is addictive, right? And whether, or even the negativity. I recently heard maybe 6 months ago from Hormozy, and he was saying, it's almost more important to remove negativity than it even is to add positivity. And it's that abundance, mindset. When you operate as though it's like trying to figure out, oh no, this electricity bill is pretty high. We need to figure out how to cut $100 off. Why don't we just figure out how to make $1,000 more and pay it for the rest of the year? And that's the same thing, man. It's so easy to get hooked on that. And when you do because we can do it in the middle of the night, right? It's just like that, the prepper shopping. You see in all the prepper groups on Facebook, I got $20 to spend. What should I buy? You shouldn't fucking buy anything. You should figure out how to turn it into $1,000 and then make $1,000 every week. But they never get beyond that, right? It's that slave mindset. And that's that fear thing. We can get in bed, laptop, just start surfing, whatever it is, and it'll target you. Whatever you're used to looking at, it'll just feed you more of that, where there's no real call to action at the end. Okay, now we all know that society, there's this possibility society collapse. We know that taxes are up. We know that fuel costs more. We know that food costs more. When really the conversation we should be having is what we're buying at the grocery store even safe to consider food, right? There's no nutrient density to it. There is chemicals all over it. We know we are being poisoned, whether it's intentional or not. So what's the solution? Put some seeds in the ground, grow some microgreens, do some sprouts, have some rabbits, right? And when we're doing all of this, and it's that constant fight or flight, we don't ever put those roots down. You have kids. I have kids. When we were young, we could push all kinds of weight and live in culverts and run through the fields and hide and stay in attics and shit. That all goes out the window with the screaming baby, right? That all goes out the window when you have those roots that are starting to grow.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I saw that video floating around about it's more important to remove the negativity than it is to overcompensate with positivity. It's almost like not even comparable. And it goes back to like the Jocko sort of mentality of, Absolutely. Oh, so this happened. Good. How do we deal with this? How do we how do we not only get over this barrier or plateau, let's just destroy it in the process. Yeah. Yeah.
And what he said was, oh, everything's fucked up. Oh, this happened. Oh, we lost this firefight. Good. Now we know what we're going to do the next time with it.
I always wonder, so I'm seeing this, we're back to the shelter in place for 3 days thing. When you hear that that's happening in another country, in our network, folks who classify themselves as preppers, how many of you listening right now cannot shelter in place for 3 days without even thinking about it? That's the question I have. I mean,
even if you can, that can immediately go out the window with a storm or a fire or a laser or, whatever the cause is, right? That can immediately change no matter how prepared you are. If it pops off and you're 200 miles away from home or 1,000 miles away from home.
And if hearing that right now makes you think like, I can't shelter in place, you could fix that pretty darn quickly. 3 days is easy to cover.
And there's so many, oh my God, what am I going to do? I mean, how many people lay down and die? I mean, it just happens. People cell phones go off and kids just commit suicide, right? How many people had been shot in the finger and died from shock from being shot in the finger? And so many of those problems, right? Shelter in place. We'll get a fucking hotel room. Well, they're all filled up. Well, then go a little bit farther and get a hotel room.
So, Risky, you were going to say something, and I think I cut you off. So
I already forgot.
Huh?
I already forgot.
All right. Yeah, 3 days is easy. Probably 60 without moving. There's somebody on the homestead.
That's Josh. That's our chef that was here for years.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So.
Well, yeah, I remember. So 3 days, right? If we're looking at you need to triage this. This is an easy way to approach it. If you don't have 3 days worth of food and water and shelter in place, you're definitely going to die when all this goes down. Like if you don't have that minimum, that's such a minimum stand. It's not even the minimum standard. It's below minimum. You should have 3 weeks or a month minimum probably 3 months. Go out and get some MREs or some canned goods, enough for your family, right? Do it. If you can do it for 3 days, then you can do it for a week. Then you get that, you can do it for 3 weeks. Then you can do it for 3 months, and go from that sort of view. And if nothing else, get a day, every day, buy enough food for your family for another day. You don't have to spend much. You can get a $5-10 in canned goods and other things is enough. It might not be ideal, but you can do that. Get some toilet paper, get some water, right? And just do it slow. And before the end of the week, you're going to have enough for a week for your family. Start right now, go there, spend $20 and you'll be good. You can make it work. It's better than sitting on your ass and letting this happen and then thinking later, oh my God, my family's dying of starvation. And I am the guy who watches prepping channels all day, every day.
Water's free water's free while it comes out of the faucet. Water's free when it runs. Put it in something, right? And all those dudes that tell you they can't do it, they're doing it with one of these. They can afford this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and after you've covered your 3 days, start documenting what you eat, because you can actually build this into something that empowers you for the long term by having, we talk about the rotating pantry all the time on my channel. Like, build your pantry up so you're pulling from it the last in, last out sort of approach, where you just have this cushion of what you actually eat, and then it becomes second nature. And you also learn along the way when something's a good deal, and you can just be like, I know how much I use in a year. I'll just get it for the year. If it's something that's not perishable, it sets a foundation for you to have like food and supply stability. And then as you're making decisions, you feel less fear because your basic needs are covered.
And that's like, to do the circle back Jen Psaki, like that prepping alone, getting this food stuff started or not out of the way, but like having a long-term food rotation supply, that immediately helps you. I only got $20. What do I buy? Well, now you can get more, eat more of your preps that are rotating in and out. You have a little bit more financial freedom because you don't have to go out and spend an exorbitant amount every day because you weren't planning just a little bit in advance.
The baseline of the pyramid, right? Those calories are the least expensive, right? Oatmeal, rice, beans, the shit that you shouldn't be, that we say, you need to be, less carbs, more protein. That all goes out the window when society collapses, right? Your normal desk job, those guys don't exist anymore. Those people who have jobs that exist because they steal taxes from people that actually work, they're of no use. They better figure out something new to do. And you can put all those calories away very cheap. You can put that water into buckets and barrels and containers very inexpensively. It doesn't take anything to do it.
So I used to do CrossFit, and no, I'm not going to talk about it like a vegan, but my coach went down. I worked with a citizens based relief group called Citizens Assisting Citizens on Hurricane Harvey. We sent people down to bring food and water to folks who were isolated, because like FEMA benefits come to the cities first, but not in the country. So we were focusing on rural stuff. And they sent him down with a whole bunch of sugary granola bars. And when he got back, he said, in the future, for the next deployment, more protein, because the sugary granola bars don't like satiate the people. Like, give them what you have, but just really focus on that protein and fat nutrition, because we can go a lot further if we do that.
Well, that's why you see MREs. Everybody's like, oh, MREs. Yeah, they're heavy, but they have calories and they're ready to eat, and you don't have to heat them up. You don't have to boil them in order to absorb them.
Yep. Those are just, I think a lot of people start by storing beans and rice. And if you eat beans and rice, that's great. But also start thinking about what you really need to endure long term if you're building that. So.
Just a regular guy. She wasn't saying CrossFit's vegan. How do you know a vegan's in the room? They'll fucking tell you. How do you know a SEAL's in the room? They'll fucking tell you. How do you know a CrossFitter's in the room? They'll fucking tell you. That's what she's getting at. That's what she means.
Yeah, it wasn't about that. Okay. Do you think the U.S. government can fight World War III and CW2 at the same time?
Yes, if they let them actually do it. We could have been in and out of Iraq, Afghanistan, any of those places if they'd have let them fight the war the way it was meant to be fought. They don't fight wars. They don't go to wars to win wars. They go to wars so that they can develop generational wealth for the people invested in the fucking in the war, companies.
It's right. It goes back to Vietnam. Like people always, and I use this, I don't want to say excuse, but this trope from time to time, but it comes with a caveat. Like we didn't win the Vietnam War, but if we were allowed to use unrestricted all-out warfare, like if we wanted to destroy them, we would have won, but we did not do that. So the same thing, if they do that and they strategically use their resources and their troops and the weaponry, then yeah, they could do it. But they're not going to do that. Well, let me rephrase that. I worry that they would do that to people who are of patriot mindset, but they wouldn't do it to anyone else on earth.
Yep. Classify, catalog, collect. Yep.
Okay, let's talk about your tagline today. The answer to 1984 is 1776.
Oh, I stole that one. So I came up with a new one, and I should have changed it on here. That's an Alex Jones line. He got it. I believe the story is he heard it from a famous, I don't know if he's a broadcaster or news guy, and then it just resonated with him, and I think it's great. Orwellian 1984. That's kind of what we're in. How do you fix that? Well, you don't. I don't know if you need to give a disclaimer. You don't vote your way out, is what I'm kind of getting at. You can vote your way in, but you got to shoot your way out. That's the sort of the saying. And what are we going to do here? And my assumption is that there was a coup d'état that took place recently in this country, and for them to play fair, moving on, like that contract, those rules were broken already, and more or less a long time ago. But it's in our face now. You can't go back. We've come too far. The Rubicon, as they say, has been crossed. There's no going back. And my new tagline is, we're blurring the line between the First and Second Amendments.
And the powers that be, or the perceived powers that be, are a wounded animal, right? They have gone literally so far. They know that as that pendulum swings back, it's going to remove some heads. That is a wounded animal in a corner of a room that is very, very dangerous right now. Of course, they're going to do everything they can, because some of them could very possibly hang over what they've done. Why would they not try to have something happen to where there's no election?
I've said this for a while. It's not because I'm smart. It's just we've war gamed this. There only seems to be 4 possibilities as far as a political outlook. One is they don't let us vote, and I don't mean like or they get us not to vote, meaning not that like we don't want to, but let's say you're all felons overnight because you have pistol braces, and we deem those illegal, right? Something like that. Or they don't let the guy you want to vote for run, sort of like what seems to be happening to the orange guy. And third is they're not worried what you're going to do, and they're going to cheat in your face, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it's going to be egregious, which is difficult because we're all onto the scheme now, right? Or the fourth thing, there's no election. Can't have it. We're invaded currently. How would we hold it? So one of those things, in my opinion, has to take place. And it's why I tell people we don't have to do anything other than show the truth, which is why the propaganda and the censorship is running rampant, because we literally have done nothing wrong. If we present the truth back and say, now what are you going to do? Now what are you going to do? You're going to do it right in front of us? All the normies are going to see. You're going to not hold it? Well, we've been calling that. You're not going to let them go and run? Well, that's a first, right? They're going to have to do this. So if we are peaceful, they're going to have to show their hand or have more false flags and force their hand. Either way, we have to remain peaceful and do the right thing, because the fight is coming to us. We're not having to go out and be the aggressors here.
Absolutely. There's not a single thing you just said that I think could even be disputed in any manner from either side. I think the other side believes exactly that as well. Yeah,
and Andy, that's why they're making such huge mistakes, or they're going balls to the wall because they don't have another option.
Yeah, blunders, just crazy shit. Yeah, Prairie Living, Andy Frisella, absolutely.
Yeah, Andy, I'll read this for the audio people. Andy Frisella says it well. If you knew the punishment for crimes committed was death, what would you not do to avoid it? Speaking to the elite class. Mm-hmm. The elite class does not get held accountable.
We know they don't. I mean, yeah. Nancy Pelosi's husband, any of that. We already know that.
Yeah.
My worry here is it's, and I don't know if it's a worry. These things have to come to pass, right? That's what the book says. I believe that they're probably working hand in hand with evil forces, and they are so terrified of that they're willing to do this treasonous behavior, because I think that is the globalist cabal leader, right? Whatever they got going on secretly, I think, Antarctica stuff, but like whatever's happening, that is the motivating evil force. Whether he looks like a reptile, whether he looks like a blonde, beautiful Olympian, whatever it is,
right?
That thing, that evil force, is what's controlling them at the highest level.
Right. How evil do you want to go? Right. I mean, take your pick. Whatever it is that you believe in, witchcraft, Satan, whatever it is. I mean, it all looks the same. I mean, it all points that direction. Why? I mean, yeah. How would you get people to do the crazy shit that they are doing? It literally is. It's like it is biblical.
Yep.
And then what do you do in reaction to it?
Sit and wait. I mean, just better your family, build community, put yourself in a better position to hold out. You don't want to be the guy at the Capitol that they're rounding up 2,000 of and putting in prison. I mean, what does that do to you right now? Build your community, build strength, build up yourself, and just wait. I mean, you're going to know when it pops off. When that bloodshed starts, it's going to be very, very evident.
Yeah, assuming it's biblical, that's my belief, right? That's where we're headed. That might not be everyone's belief, but that being said, that's nothing I can control. That is literally out of my power. I can only control what's in my circle of influence, what I can put my hands on and change in my reality. And worrying about things that have to come to pass, knowing there will be wars and rumors of wars, knowing they've even said they're going to go to war with Iran. That's them saying it, right? And then here we go, like proxy war through Iran by leaving the Taliban weapons, letting them, all this stuff. Okay, I couldn't control any of that. So it's going to get worse before it gets worse. And I better be prepared to deal with this. And I should probably think about the positions I'm putting myself in, like January 6th. Like I almost went. I had a guy who's in the know stop me and my best friend from going at 11 o'clock on January 5th. We'd already paid for the hotel and got a rental car. We were going there. Like we were going to be peaceful, but I was prepared to get into a brawl with Antifa. I was kind of like, yes, finally, let's just go bash some skulls from these, terrorists. And he's like, don't go, dude. It's going to be the worst decision you'll ever make. Put on such a good argument that we didn't go, and he saved my life, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know somebody who was there peacefully and will not be on Twitter ever again because he was geographically close to that whole situation, and they were just like permanent ban for life. Just for being like based on his geolocation on his phone.
That's wild.
Like, not that he said anything, not that he did anything, just you were there. And I know people who were on business trips, permanent ban for life.
Well, I believe God works in mysterious ways, and like me being saved from going there has opened my eyes up to the depths and the lengths at which these people will go to entrap you and to do you dirty. As the people that we give money to protect us, they will do the exact opposite. They'll ruin you in the process. They'll put you in a gulag and torture you. So seeing that, looking at how they're tracking people, putting eyes in the sky, monitoring your phone, being able to ping your card, all this crazy stuff that I had no idea was possible. It's awakening, right? Maybe that's why I have the YouTube channel. Maybe it's because I got my eyes opened and I feel obligated to tell other people, hey, here's what's really happening. You can think I'm a schizo crazy person, but just give it some time. You might reconsider.
Yeah, geofencing. I mean, you can have a carjacking take place in a strip mall, and they can know every phone that was there and then eliminate it. Well, clearly it wasn't this soccer mom. It wasn't this cardiac surgeon. And then they just pill in the rest of the handful, right? When you look at operation or the tech called Stingray, right? They were doing that in the very beginning of the Iraq War. They were able to ping all phones off of towers. They were able to actually take over a phone. They could take over your phone, send a message as though you sent it. That technology is 25 plus years old. And still to this day, local level law enforcement agencies have access to that. Every time that is brought up by attorneys for the defendants, they dismiss those cases. Whenever that gets, they're still not talking about tech that's 25 years old. Just imagine what's available right now to them.
And it's laughable to me when people, you know, I get a lot of flack for like radio stuff, right? Because I talk about maybe less tech is more, and not all the time. There's definitely like the highest tech radios. Those are cool. Like I enjoy them. I own them as well. I don't talk about them all the time because the average guy can't afford it or even know how to use it. But that's sort of the whole thing. You have to be an absolute tip of the spear expert to navigate this technology safely when the critical time comes. And odds are they're still going to have technology that you're not aware of that's classified because they have backdoor access, because patents exist and they get first dibs looking at them. Like whether we want to accept that or not, the only reason the NVA, the Taliban were able to even have some successes besides them not going scorched earth like we mentioned earlier is because they went less tech, fight on our own terms, face-to-face contact. We're not going to give you these avenues of approach to destroy us on social media, bringing our phones everywhere. We're going to use dumb technology as low level as we can to counter your massive force multiplying technology.
Yep. Pigeons and rat lines, man.
Yep.
Okay, speaking of gloom and doom, if you put every action that Vladimir Putin does through the lens that he is gearing up for what he and many see as inevitable, World War III, everything makes a whole lot of sense. I am a Gen Xer who has been afraid of World War III since I was a kid hiding under my desk. And now I'm not afraid of it. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if we go that deep into war and we start sending these catastrophic bombs around, I'm not going to know it anyway.
I'm 52. Every year that I can remember, something was supposed to, end the world. And imagine had I operated as though I just wanted to keep going and make things better, right? Rather than putting money into holes and putting money into just collecting stuff that's going to expire or go bad. And I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying rather than going and out of panic buying a ton of freeze-dried food, start a damn freeze-dried food company. Make more money. Money buys you options. What's the question here?
Oh, nothing. I was saying they started a freeze-dried food company. Just happened to be commenting right then.
Yeah, just put yourself into a position that you can enjoy doing this stuff. Make it a hobby, whatever, but don't do it completely out of fear. That can still be, imagine if you put yourself in a position where you could sell thousands and thousands of dollars of whatever that is every week and got your own for free. And then in addition to having it in the one, garage at the apartment, now you have it at a house. Then you have it at a secondary and a tertiary location or other states, or you buy event venues and then you have some stuff cashed out. Just buy yourself options. And it's that fight or flight, man. You got to hurry up and take what little you have and get rid of it. It's designed so that you get rid of it and it just keeps that divide between you and them. It's literally like what's going on. It's like that kayak commercial. These whales with these Star Wars hoods, and one of them's got a monocle. They're at this resort, right? And they're like, now that we've made travel so expensive, we have the whole island to ourselves. And this lady shows up, and they're like, how'd you get here? Kayak made it. I was able to book this reservation, and that's what it is. It's about just further division. If they can make you fearful, look, what's BlackRock own right now? 38% of all residential housing in the United States. The goal is 65% by 2030. They're right on track for that. Most of these people, most of your children, well, hopefully not your children, not our children, are never going to be homeowners because it's constant. Just get rid of that money. And now they've convinced people not to even go to work. And as soon as we tell you we can give you $1,000 a month, dipshits are going to sit. You're going to literally be in this virtual world, and you're going to have 12 dudes sitting naked on a couch in their make-believe world, accomplishing nothing.
Mainlining DMT, right? Like just 24 hours a day. They're going to cut. My thought process is, at least wargaming it again. I could be wrong. It's just an idea that this is exactly what they intend to do. Klaus Schwab said you're not going to own anything and you're going to like it. How do you do that? You get to the position where people only rent stuff. But then you still got these pesky preppers, homesteaders, and homeowners, landowners. So how are you going to do that? You're going to have to cut them out of the system. You have to drive their taxes through the roof so they have trouble paying them, or make it difficult for them to even pay. You're going to have some experimental medical procedure. You're going to have this cool, fancy one world currency and buy into the beast system for you to even pay your taxes. Otherwise, we're going to raid you.
Yeah, I mean, you just kicked 50% of small businesses no longer exist, right? 65% of restaurants closed down in the last 3 years. No longer a going concern. Don't fucking exist. We might not even recognize it because we don't go to a lot of them, but the signs are starting to fall off of the buildings. The signs are being removed from the buildings, and then it really dawns on you as you're driving past, these locations are vacant. How many businesses, this small, little, tiny ass town, half the businesses went out of business. And what's left? Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, Sam's Club. Why were they able to stay open when, a two-person business couldn't? That's by design. It's all by design. And when they defaulted on those rents or those mortgages, when those businesses went out of business and couldn't pay that landlord, and that landlord had to sell that business, who owns that property now?
And it goes back to what you were saying earlier. What will they not do to avoid being held accountable? If they've done the things that they did, if they brought in Koof, if they stole the presidency, if they did some of these other things, put us in endless wars over missing trillions of dollars in New York, what would you do? Would you have, we'll have an approach here and we'll attack you from here or there? Or would you have an all fronts attack to put as massive firepower down on your enemy as you possibly could? They've already had catastrophic contagion runarounds. So are they going to try another coup? Well, it won't work. It would have to be deadly. It'd almost have to target children. Wait, were they talking about that in catastrophic contagion with old Bill Gates? I think so. So they're going to do that. They're going to do the dollar crashing. They're going to have us at world war. They're going to want us to have civil war all at the same time to make it such a terrible chokehold that it's almost impossible to escape from.
And did we even have a real pandemic, right? Did we
really
they
turned
have
5G on, so, and they're pumping you full of metal.
So, yeah.
And it's almost like there's some hidden technology that, metal interacts with these electromagnetic waves or something.
Back to all your food is poison, right? Do we really trust that? And even if it's not, is it nutrient dense? Can you operate on the same food the way our parents did? And I think the answer has to be no. Event 201, War Games, 2019. They just had another event, and that's what they said. It will target children. But the biggest part of that event, and it's weird, because when you search new event 201, you don't see the number attached to it. The World Economic Forums has it on their website. They talk about this new event they did. It's going to target children under the age of 12. It's going to be way more virulent for young kids. But the biggest part of that event, like 60% of it, is how do we control social media and disinformation, right? You're already seeing that. YouTube came out with regulations and guidelines 2-3 months ago now, said if you go against anything that doesn't toe the line basically for World Economic Forum, CDC, World Health Organization, then they're going to you're going to be gone. They're going to dismember your channel.
I'm surprised my channel's still around. I think I'm just small enough that I've slipped through the cracks. I would imagine once I get close to approaching that, little YouTube button that they send you, I'm going to get the axe. So we're going to have to.
Are you backing up to other stations, other systems?
I simulcast to Rumble. So everything that gets uploaded immediately goes to Rumble. My goal was to get on radio, and it's pissing me off because I was trying to buy this commercial building, put up an antenna, and broadcast AM call-in shows. But then I'm like, they're not even putting AM radios in the cars now. And it's like, oh, that's probably just another coincidence, right? There's no way they're going to let you broadcast your signal that they don't have control over.
So maybe we start sending out AM radios.
Yeah, that's my other thing. That's why I talk about the radio stuff to begin with. I want people to at least know their way around, to understand the concept, so that when full tyranny censorship kicks in, at full effect, there is a way they can still get that signal. And I think like S2 Underground's doing that by pumping out these broadcasts. I think he did GhostNet. He's trying to work around this, and that guy's at the tip of the spear as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and Mike's channel's awesome. S2's awesome. Where the fuck did Christian from Ice Age Farmer go? What happened to that dude?
Yeah.
He disappeared.
Yeah, gone.
I actually tried to get him on with us once, and it was right when he disappeared.
And what's the other? Yanasa Ventures is really good. There's another dude. 2030. He's out of East Tennessee. His stuff's pretty good.
Yep. I've gone back and forth with him a little bit. We haven't quite aligned on a schedule.
Which is weird because he's close. We should totally have him out here.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I plan to sit down. Risky Chrisky's going to be here at SRF this weekend. We plan to sit down and do a podcast, guys. Glenn Tate, Heavy D, wrote 299 Days. He does Prepping 2.0 is his podcast. He actually is on AM radio and some FM radios also. You might reach out to him about how he maneuvered that, but he is on some radio shows. His podcast goes out on radio.
It's just funny. The more I look into it, the more these conspiracies seem to pop up again. It's like, how would we miss all this technology? People are like, that doesn't exist. It's like, well, I can think of a super obvious one. And it's like, whatever happened to Nikola Tesla's technology? Why did all that get suppressed? Why did we go with Edison and all this other stuff and just miraculously, the government has a monopoly, the US government specifically has a monopoly on all this stuff. And it's why I don't believe in the alien crap they got going on. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some stuff out there, but I think a majority of it's just our own government.
Well, I mean, Mudflood's pretty fascinating when you look at all the, the orphan trains and the technology. Super, super fabricated fiction, maybe steampunk kind of stuff. But I mean, there is no disputing that all those spires and towers and the buildings that were built 100, 200 years ago are way better than anything we're building now. How did we do that then, but we can't
like
do
the World's Fair?
Yeah, all the World's Fairs. Yeah, absolutely.
What is up with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Bob said, "Is it not okay? Is it not good to own nothing but control everything?" Yeah, that's the obvious. That's the obvious. For a corporation, you as an individual hold nothing. The LLC holds it, and then that corporation holds this LLC and this LLC, and it gives you compartmentalization also. So,
well, for risk-benefit analysis for a business, it makes sense. But I mean, as a person, when you need assets,
everybody should operate as a business, though, right? Why do we not? Yeah. Why do we not teach people legal? Why do you have legal vocabulary and peasant vocabulary? Right? It's so that you can't understand that. So
maritime
there is a
law.
Demarcation. Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, people. That's the other thing. I feel like, dude, this is an excellent video right here because you were on point with everything I'm saying.
There is an entire world out there that most people don't know exists.
Yeah. They
have no idea, right? Because we keep them in that rat race. We keep them in that fear cycle. They are constantly fed. I mean, you can't even, if you panic if you don't have this thing. I mean, go out in the wilderness, just randomly grab 100 people, throw them in a van, and take them out into the wilderness, right? Give them infrastructure, whatever, but take their phone away. See how many of them don't come back, willingly just demise over not having this.
That's going to be the hardest thing about whatever conflict. If it ever comes to Americans having to defend themselves in a kinetic fight on a large scale, I'm not even saying who the enemy is or whatever. Having dudes not take their phones with them is going to be the hardest thing that we're facing. I guarantee it. We're worried about, Ukraine's got blue tape. How are they not being seen? It's like, bro, you're going to have your phone on you. Like, shut up. Yeah.
And they do have their phones on them, right?
Yeah.
When the war first kicked off, we sent Iridium phones with several dudes. We sent them with some of my guys embedded with some team guys on some freighters and stuff, doing some maritime shit when the war first kicked off. And then we heard helicopters went down in certain places, and we had to wait multiple days to find out if those were our guys that died, right? Not anymore. They literally have these things out in combat on the FOBs. They are out there. Everything is shit. We have enemies knowing where our soft guys are running and where their compounds are based off of their PT off their fucking Fitbits. Everything is a tattletale now. Whether you even realize it or not, it's on the net.
But guys will still say, you got to buy this certain radio over that one because this one will keep you safe. It's like, it's more how you use it. It's like noise and light discipline as opposed to this piece of tech versus they're both going to get you killed. How do you minimize that?
Right. The October 4th thing, right? There's so many guys they sent out that thing during October 4th and then Israel happened. Maybe. Dudes were like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I just bought a stack of Faraday bags. They're like, well, I don't think anything's going to happen. No, I don't either. But wouldn't it be good to have a Faraday bag? Isn't this a good excuse right now to go buy some Faraday bags? How many fucking assholes told me, oh, just put that in the microwave and the microwave will keep your phone from ringing? We went and did that. Every damn phone in here rang in the microwave. It rang in the refrigerator. It rang in the washing machine. It rang in the dryer. You know where this motherfucker didn't ring? In a Faraday bag, which cost $20.
John,
Yeah,
mine
on
didn't
Amazon.
ring, and it was just in the holler.
Right.
I told people on my video, I said, it's time to put your phone in your microwave.
I won't know.
And guys were like giving me pushback. I'm like, look, guys, I don't have an affiliate code. I'm not selling you this bag. I don't even have these bags. I have no association with anybody. I bought silent SLNT bags. I bought every bag that you could buy off of Amazon. They're sitting here. We have them, right? But dudes are like, I don't need a Faraday bag. I'll just wrap it in aluminum foil. That's awesome. Perfect, you peasant motherfucker. Perfect that it works. But what happens when you actually have to take that in and out of there, right? What about when they were tracking dudes and they knew how many people were driving down the 40 during the COVID stuff? Why were they tracking that, right? Because they didn't know whether they were going to stop those people, they were going to issue them tickets, or they were going to put them in some of those fucking facilities, right? At what would the demarcation have been where they went and actually collected those dudes that moved? If you had your shit in a Faraday bag, they wouldn't have had you on there. And I have to have my phone because what I tell people, I'm like, you want to sleep good at night? Turn this thing off. Get it away from your head. Kill all your Wi-Fi inside your house. You will sleep better. I don't know if it's real or not, but I certainly feel like I sleep better in the last few months when I've been turning this off and killing the Wi-Fi, right? Dude's
Have you seen the video of the plants growing side by side, one with Wi-Fi, one without, and it's like night and day.
Not only, man, and guys are like, well, what if there's a fire? I don't know. What'd you do the last 30 years if there was a fire? Have a fucking smoke alarm.
Jump out the window and get GTFO. That's what you do.
Yeah, we don't put fires out here. We watch them burn. That's what happens out here. You better have your own fire
Run next door and use your neighbor's phone.
And as far as that Wi-Fi shit in plants, man, we just picked up some wire and some outlets and stuff, putting a 30 amp circuit out here. And they have this copper, and I was talking to my guy Jake. I said, "Have you seen the electroculture stuff?" He's like, "No." So I was telling him about it. I go, "They take copper, they wrap it around a stick, they put it in the ground where they're growing their garden, right?" I've seen tons of this stuff, thousands of these videos, and I've sent them to a few guys, and they're like, "Does this work?" I go, "No, I sent it to you because I know your ass would try it. You tell me if it works." My boy Lance got back, and he's like, "Okay, here's video, no bullshit." Side by side, planted these things at the exact same time, water them the same time of day, same solar aspect ratios, multiple beds, different locations, every single one of them side by side, the one with that damn copper wire running down, wrapped around the stick, they're all 30, 40, 50% larger. And I'm like, "You're fucking with me." He's like, "No, I'm telling you, this is
That's
real."
awesome. Dude, I got to tell my best friend that. He's going to love that. He actually, I told him, I was like, I'm going to Tennessee for this thing earlier. I was just on the phone with him before we started. And he's like, "Oh, that, the prepper deal." I was like, I was like, Wrangler Star is going to be there. And he's like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "The dude who talked about grounding his bed." And he's like, "Oh yeah." And I'm like, "Now you ground your bed." Cause he was right. Yeah. And he's like, that guy.
Not only that, man, prepper aside, holistic medicine aside, dudes that are multi-billionaires, right? Ed Milet, Brecca, Frisella, all those dudes, they sleep on a copper mat that's grounded, every one of them. They all have cold baths. They all have saunas. They all have hyperbaric chambers. Maybe it's some bullshit. Maybe you just tell me if I do these things, 15 minutes of sauna, 60 seconds of ice bath, sleep on a copper mat that's grounded. Maybe if you just maybe it's placebo, right? Maybe when I'm taking, I always do this when I'm doing a shot, but it's, wherever. TRT, right? Maybe my TRT, maybe my testosterone's horse shit. But since I've been able to use TRT, I sleep 4.5 hours a night and I get fucking 10 times more shit done every fucking day. Maybe it's placebo. I don't care if it's placebo, but the effect is the same. I think it's real.
Yeah, the odds are, yeah, you're right. It could be placebo, but the odds are, if it's that widespread, there's something to it.
when you get I don't know those guys, right? I don't know Ed Milet, I don't know Frisella, but I know people that are partnered with both of those dudes that are heading that direction, right? And I'm grabbing on and I'm running with them, right? And if they do that shit, why would you not do it? If it like, why would you not just do it?
A lot of people, I think they don't realize because they're not in business or they haven't worked in the private sector. I don't want to say at a high level, but like managing their time, because these dudes who are billionaires, these businessmen, that's literally their most important thing is time in the day. How do I maximize every second of the day and still get the amount of rest and be with my family and do what I have to do on top of business? How do I make it flow better? So when they're talking about sleep, when they're talking about delegating things that don't matter, how to maximize your happiness or your influence or whatever, they know what they're talking about. I mean, that's my experience at least in the real estate side, talking to these guys, dealing with them directly, selling them houses and shit, but like they're right. They know what they're doing.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's real, man.
Well, it's also, it doesn't hurt to try some of these things, right? Like you were talking to me about the cold plunge a few months ago, and I was like, yeah, there's probably something to that. And then my cortisol levels were through the roof. And I'm like, well, now I'm going to end up being the person who does the ice plunge because John Willis like hooked me up with that whole even information where at first I was like, I'm not ready to do the cold plunge yet. So it's actually kind of funny how those things happen. And it just doesn't hurt to try.
Well, I mean, look at Wim Hof, right? Just whatever you believe, right?
Oh, Wim Hof.
Listen to a couple Wim Hof videos, right? We can do the breathing thing, the box breathing and the 3 second, 3 second, 3 second, 3 second. You can do the breathe. It's free. Why the fuck would you not just do that, right? Why would you not do that? Why would you not get in cold water, right? What do you have to lose?
Wim Hof was the reason I looked into the ice plunges.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And it's free. Brecca, who's the dude? Dude's got a really good Instagram channel. I talk about him all the time. It'll come to me. He's got all these things you can do. And you don't have to take a pill, a potion, a shot. It's all free. But people want to fight about it, right? Especially in our circles, right? These are I'm going to survive the end of the world, but you can't walk a mile, right? It's absolutely bizarre that we will go spend money on Walmart survival aisle prepper bullshit, but you won't get your fitness is free. Fitness doesn't have to cost anything. But people have been conditioned to that. Well, I can't afford it, or I don't have the time, or whatever it is, and it's just absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, make the time. Make the time
by
getting up a half hour early.
Huberman, it's Huberman. That's who I'm talking about, guys. Tim Riley, you're correct.
So
have you ever done the tape thing
to go to SRF? And the answer is no. Get your tickets at selfreliancefestival.com. Go.
Here's the other thing really quick about SRF, guys, and Nicole will cringe when I tell you this. People like, I can't afford to come to SRF. You could sneak into SRF if you were really committed. You could just come in. The best stories, and I know people that are involved in some of these stories, right? The gatekeepers. I wanted to, like the JetBlue guy, right? He wanted to get a hold and use these guys' jets. He couldn't get a hold of this guy, so he bought all the muffins. He bought all the muffins and sat outside the coffee shop where they're having this conference. And when they came in, all these executives came in to buy muffins, and they're like, that guy bought them all. So they're like, hey, what are you doing with the muffins? I want to have a conversation with you. Sit down, eat your muffin. I want to talk to you for 2 minutes. You just have to be committed. I would rather have the dude that snuck in here. It was so important for you to come in here and have access to some of these people and have those real conversations. I would love to see that guy. I don't care about your money.
You're going to see that guy. I know him. He's one of my friends. He asked me, he's like, can I still get a ticket or should I sneak in? He's like, should I ride your coattails? I was like,
sneak in.
John Willis used to put his own customers on blast on the internet and make videos about it. I was like, you want him doing that to you if he catches you sneaking into his festival? He's like, you're right, I gotta buy the ticket.
I met somebody this weekend who said that she could not afford the ticket, and I gave her a ticket. I was like, don't let that be. If you are committed to like putting the time in to come here, I mean, we have ways people can volunteer and get their ticket, but also like,
I know
if that's legitimately it, then come down. It'll change your life.
I know so many people with way more money than I have that are like, I can't come out. No, what you mean, motherfucker, is you don't want to come out, and that's okay. Use clear, strong words. The dude who wants to come so bad and truly can't afford it, fuck, I'll feed you. Come on.
Okay, I know that we're getting to the end of your time, Risky, so let's make sure we cover what you want to cover today.
Oh, we're good. This went so great. Like, see, I know it because I watch John all the time when he does his lives, and he knows what's up. Like, that's why I watch him, So this is great. I would love to chat more when I have more time. Unfortunately, I got to go pick up the little one from school, but I appreciate it. This was a great meeting. I can't wait to see y'all down at SRF.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you in person at SRF. Yeah. And, I won't be sad, guys, if instead of sneaking in, you buy the tickets. But, at the same time, if you cannot afford it, you better reach out to me.
Okay, real quick. Dogman, real or not real?
I think it's real. I used to make fun of it. It was the one I thought was the dumbest one. But I've heard some stories and accounts of guys encountering it, like in Indian territory, like up near the Twin Lakes or whatever they call it, or the Twin Cities.
Do you know who the Joe Rogan of Paranormal is?
Who's that?
So they have, I can't remember his name. He's here in Tennessee. I met him. Of all places, the middle of fucking nowhere here over in Paris, we have the Dogman Conference, and we have like 400 people show up. All the TV show guys, everyone's here for the Dogman stuff.
Does this happens regularly?
Yeah, once a year.
Yeah, dude, let me know. I'm going to be there the next time. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, good dudes, man. Good dudes. It was a fun time.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to
cryptids. It's the Cryptid Conference. That's what it was. Exactly, Faith.
Yeah. I got the guys over at Blurry Creatures. I'll try to get them to go too.
Awesome.
Sweet. So Risky Chrisky's YouTube channel link is in the show description. So make sure you give him a follow. And I look forward to meeting you in person. You can hop off whenever you need to hop off. We'll wrap up as we wrap up.
Yeah.
So I asked if there's a pay it forward for gifting tickets or something. Yeah, talk to me about that. I have somebody who did that, and I gave them away this week because they couldn't come, and then I actually converted them to a digital pass so they could see the sessions as well. So, but there's a lot of really cool stuff that happens, and Self-Reliance Festival is this weekend, so Saturday, Sunday.
And there is a virtual pass for you guys that can't come out. There's a virtual pass, or it's a lot to watch all at once. And once you have that virtual pass, you can watch it in bites.
Yep. That's all over at selfreliancefestival.com. And attendees do get 50% off the digital pass if they want to add it. Anyway, thank you so much for making time for us today, guys. And I'll see you both in person really soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
We'll see you soon, buddy.
Bye.